Your source for everything paranormal. Para X. The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
The supernatural world can be a dark, intimidating, and scary place. We gather to shine light on the mysterious and misunderstood aspects of the paranormal world. We bring to the table years of experience as mediums, healing channels, and paranormal investigators.
We share true stories from our experiences to dispel fear where we can and help you discover the amazing layers that make up the paranormal world. You are invited to gather around the metaphysical table with us and discuss the worlds of the unseen on The Gathering Radio Show.
Welcome to The Gathering Radio Show here on the Para X Radio Network. My name is Heidi.
And I'm Stephanie, and welcome to this Tokatai Tuesday.
Oh, yes.
We're
that sounds
excited.
So fancy.
It is. And we are a little late getting on because we're just having a few technical difficulties. We're thinking perhaps it's the full moon, but we don't know.
We'll blame it on the full moon right now.
I like that. We're having a little issue getting our guests on, and Howard has said that he found the setting on his phone. So if we can try to get a hold of him again, I don't know, Sarge, how you work that, or if we just need to bring him on at the half, that's okay too. But we'll just take a couple of minutes and say hello, everyone, and welcome into the show. And Heidi, how are you?
I am excellent and busy as always. How about yourself?
Yeah, same. But I'm super excited about our show tonight.
I am too. This is going to be a lot of fun. And we do have one of our guests is on tonight, Steph. So why don't you take it from here, and then we'll hopefully get Howard in as well.
Yeah. So let me preface this by, for weeks now, we've been talking on the show, just, little snippets about Tokatai and the orcas and bringing her back home to the Salish Sea, which is something that, oh my gosh, has been in my heart for just ever since I started going out there. And there's a really big movement right now for a lot of reasons. And our first guest that we have on this evening, we'll get Howard Garrett on too. He's with the Orca Network. But right now we have Raynell Morris with the Lummi Nation. Hi, Raynell. How are you?
I'm good this evening. Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, thank you for taking the time out to be on. So can you tell us a little bit about Tokatai and what she means to you and the Lummi Nation and all of the coastal peoples?
Yes, I do want to make a point of clarification. When I'm speaking to you tonight, I am speaking as Gilahela Lummi Texan. I am a Lummi Nation tribal member and a Lakhtamish matriarch. So I don't speak for our tribal government. I speak for myself and my family.
Mm-hmm.
And we each here at Lakhtamish and Lummi Nation have our own Shalangan, which is what's been taught to us from our families, our way of life. But what we do share in common is our belief and our relationship to Quethalmachan, which is the southern resident killer whales. Quethalmachan means our relatives under the waves. So we speak to them as our family, and we take care of them as our family. So when one is ill or hungry or taken away from the family, much like our Indian children were in resident boarding schools, that's the same with Tokatai. Her Lummi name is Skelly Chaktanat. She was also taken when she was 4 years old.
Yeah. horrific, and so were many other babies taken from the whales at that time. Am I right?
Yes, there were several, but of that particular roundup in 1970, Skelly Chuctanut is the only living survivor of that roundup.
And she's something. She has an amazing spirit to have survived for this many years in the smallest orca pool in the world, I think. Am I correct?
You are correct. She has been in Miami for 52 years.
Oh.
We believe now that she is 56, but her mother, Ocean Sun, from the El Pod, is still alive, and we believe she's 93.
What?
So in our way, we believe she's got at least 37 more years to live her life her way with her family, free here in her natal waters in the Salish Sea.
I'm shocked at how old her mother is. For I mean, it's beautiful. I didn't know that they lived that long. I knew that they lived long, but not, I guess, that long. That's amazing.
Yes, and our family and community society structure is the same as Quithomichan. She is a matriarch. Her mother, Ocean Sun, is a matriarch of the El Pod. And so this is the kinship that she and I share, as I'm the matriarch here for the Lactamus people in my family. So the need to reunite a family is our sacred obligation to do, is to bring them back together, because we're told by our ancestors, when we heal the Salish Sea, we heal Quithomichan, we heal salmon, we heal our people as well. That's been told to us and given to us to do this work.
Wow. That's amazing.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. It is. I'm curious if you think that her family knows that she's still out there.
Yes, I believe, just like as I'm a mother and a grandmother, that I can sense when my son is doing really well or when he's not doing well. I can feel that about my grandchildren. You know, when you have that sense that you better call and check on them or you better stop by.
Mm-hmm.
We believe that same connection is shared between their families, between a daughter and a mother, a mother and her mother, so daughter, grandmother, that those linkages spiritually and energy are shared.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I believe that too, because I think we as mothers know when our children are hurt or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's just intuitive, And
I would think that the reverse would be the same then too, that she knows her family is still waiting for her, right?
Yes, we've carried messages from her family to her in Miami. We have done ceremony for her. We've prayed with her. We've told her to ready her spirit, to get healthy, be ready, we'll be back, we're coming back. And we've apologized to her for taking so long to come back, but she's not forgotten. We believe she knows this. We've been advocating for people that love her and her family all around the world to continue to pray for her, to send her that hope and loving spirit to get healthy and get strong.
Wow.
And this has been going on, Raynell, for years. I mean, ever since she was taken, pretty much. And it's just amazing that now this time has come. This aquarium has said absolutely not. They're not letting her go. But now this aquarium has been purchased by a different company, and they're kind of agreeing to this. Am I right? If all things go well?
What they have agreed to, and there is a beautiful partnership that has just been formed, and it's led by Pritam Singh, from the East Coast. He has put together a nonprofit called the Friends of Lolita. There are 5 board members, including myself. Friends of Lolita have gone to the mayor of Miami and to the Dolphin Company. We now have an agreement between these 3 parties to send in independent third-party vets to go in for Skelly Chuctanut and do a comprehensive health and behavioral exam. The mayor of Miami-Dade County, she has said she wants full transparency as Skelly Chuctanut is a public figure, and that she will make this health report available to the public. So this is huge that this partnership is formed and working together on step 1, get the independent third-party vets in there. The second huge news that came just a couple of weeks before that, if not just a week before that, is the USDA licensing letter that I'm going to simplify it because I know there's, all sorts of different levels of folks listening. But in our way, what the letter said is they have essentially retired her and her dolphin friend that's been in the tank with her. They have told the Dolphin Company that they cannot have her perform in the public. They cannot use her to generate revenue. They cannot use her in social media. So what does this all do when you put these 2 wonderful movements together? Is to allow her the best medical care and continued care and the time to begin to heal.
That's perfect.
It is.
So I was reading an article about what you're talking about with how she's not able to perform or be used in any media, which means they can't make money off of her anymore. Is that correct?
Correct.
Which then she becomes a big expense without any revenue coming in to cover that expense, correct?
Well, this isn't my words. This is the Western way. The Dolphin Company is a for-profit corporation, and the animals at Miami Seaquarium are assets.
Mm-hmm.
And when the USDA retired her, my way of looking at it would be that she then becomes a non-earning asset, then is what on the books of a corporation, a liability. This is just my interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
This has not been said by the nonprofit or by the Dolphin Company. This is my interpretation that this is part of the value of them coming to the table with Friends of Lolita and with the mayor, because Friends of Lolita is paying for this evaluation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So then I would imagine, I'm thinking the same thing you're thinking then. It would be a little easier, maybe, hopefully, to let her go if they're not going to make money off of her. Like you said, she's not an asset anymore that they can utilize, under a business structure.
And I can't speak to that because I'm in this new partnership, and it includes the Dolphin Company. Mm-hmm. But what we are so pleased that they have done is agreed to step 1, agreed to bring in vets for her. Mm-hmm. Is everything we've been asking for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And it's exciting. It's like wow, it's like big news because nothing like this has ever happened in all the years I've been following this, so this is very cool.
So we're applauding the Dolphin Company to come to the table to be a partner. We're applauding the mayor of Miami-Dade to take a leadership role in this, and Pritam Singh, Friends of Lolita, for bringing this 5-person board together to do this work.
And just to make clear, those listening, we started out talking about Tokitae, and then she does have, what is the name that you call her right now? I have a hard time with that one.
Well, it's a Lakhtamish name. It's Lami Thompson, so it's in our language. Mm-hmm. And it's Skelly Chaktanat.
It's beautiful.
Which is, her whole family is Skalicha, which is the area, the village site of where this occurred. Okay. So her family has a Lemmy named Skalicha. Skelly Chaktanat is the female version of the family name in Lemmy Chaktanat.
And it's beautiful. And,
it is beautiful.
But for those of you listening, so she's also talking about Lolita. Lolita is the same. So when they brought her to Miami, I believe they gave her the stage name Lolita. And so
correct.
People know her by that. That's what they call her in Miami. And she's a very beloved part of Miami. And now there's a huge movement down there to bring her back home, right? I mean, there's people there with signs every day at this aquarium, right? And talking about get her home and all this stuff. They would, it's just amazing, all of the people who love her there as well, who love Lolita. So,
it's not just people in Miami, it's all over the world. It's Germany, yes. It's Australia, it's New Zealand, it's England, it's London. I have to apologize. I have neighbor dogs that don't like the other neighbor dogs in the yard.
You know what?
Territorial thing happening here.
Yeah, no worries. We all have animals, and every once in a while they make an appearance on the show. So yesterday I noticed, or was it yesterday or the day before, that there was a picture of a crane over Lolita's tank. So, are we thinking that they're getting her ready, maybe?
Well, I won't speculate on that.
Yeah.
I don't have any factual information as to what the crane is doing there or what it's being used for. So I think it would be unjust to speculate to the listeners.
Yeah. But this is exciting times, don't you think? I think she'll come home. I really do.
So we have a question in the chat. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, and the work that I do, I take guidance from our spiritual leaders here at Lakhtamish, but I also am given messages from ancestors and believe that this is part of their work. The positive changes, the cooperation we feel as ancestors working to clear her path. And we're forever grateful for the guidance.
Yeah, it's just awesome. What were you going to ask, Heidi?
Well, we have a question in the chat room that let's say she is moved and she can go back home. Could anybody replace her? Would that happen? It's not allowed anymore, is it? Or so there would be no whales there then at this aquarium, correct?
This is only my personal view. I don't speak for the Dolphin Company or Friends of Lolita. My personal view would be no, there would not be another orca to replace her. In all the parts that the Dolphin Company has, this is just my analysis. They don't own any orcas. They're dolphins. So my belief is that no, she would not be replaced with another.
Good.
Yeah, that is good news. And my question is, so she's been in this tiny tank with her dolphin friend. Do you think maybe the dolphin friend can come with her? I mean, what's going to happen to her or him?
Well, that's part of the evaluation process,
Mm-hmm.
To evaluate the behavior. Are they friends? They're different species.
Right.
So there's, that evaluation needs to happen.
Yeah, I imagine so. And like Karin is saying, keeping dolphins captive is horrific as well. It is. Mm-hmm. All of these are. And, since the documentary Blackfish came out, people's eyes have really been open to this whole situation, and something that those of us who love the orcas have known for many years. Don't orcas typically kill dolphins? I don't believe so. I think that might be a question for Howard when he's on here in a few minutes. Raynell, do you know the answer to that? Because I think orca whales are like the biggest of the dolphin family, if I'm correct. I could be wrong, but I don't know that they kill, but they might. The transient orcas I have seen grab porpoises. So, yeah, could be.
Yeah, I don't feel comfortable answering that because I don't have any knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we will ask those more technical questions to Howard because he's has more experience in that area. Yeah, there's tons of questions out here. We have a lot of people in the chat room, so I'm guessing there's a lot of people listening, which welcome in. And we are currently talking with Raynell Morris of the Lummi Nation, and Howard Garrett from the Orca Network will be on, joining us in just a couple of minutes. And so we are going to go to our 2-minute break, and we will be back in 2 minutes. This is the Gathering Radio Show on the Para X Radio Network.
Those geek ladies, Chong and Victoria from Exploring the Paranormal with Geeks Paranormal, are at it again with another amazing season full of paranormal celebrity interviews with amazing guests and stories of haunted locations and so much more. You will hear it first on Para X. Tune in Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Central. You will not be disappointed.
Kimberly Juarez with Cat Paranormal of Minnesota.
And I'm Jerry Ayers with Supernatural Investigators of Minnesota. And together, we are The Calling. Every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, only on ParaXRadioNetwork.com.
Listening at home, at work, or anywhere. Thanks for making Para X part of your day. Your source for everything paranormal. Para X.
Welcome back to the Gathering Radio Show here on the Para X Radio Network. And we have two guests with us now. We have had Raynell Morris on with us for the first half hour of our show, and we do have Howard Garrett with us now for the second half as well. And welcome, Howard. You're with the Orca Network, and we're super glad to have you in for the back half of our show because we have a lot of questions for you today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I wish I could have been here for the whole thing.
We'll just have to have you back.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. As things heat up, for sure, we'd love you both to come back as new developments happen and all of these things.
Good. So, I'm sure they will.
Well, and this is exciting. We have so many people in the chat room, Howard, and so many questions to ask you specifically, but we're so happy you're here, first of all, can I just say. And this is such an exciting time. You and I have been chatting for years and years and years about this. So now it's like, wow, it might be happening. You know what I mean? It is going to happen.
Yes, some really dramatic developments have happened starting last August, really, and then building and building and building. And now everyone is sort of waiting in this eager anticipation for the next step. But it looks like everything is falling into place. So, yes, I think it's finally happening.
It's so exciting. And, for those listening too, so there is a Facebook page, and it's the Orca Network Tokate page, Lolita Tokate page, and every Sunday you guys have what you call Toki TV, and you kind of talk about different things. But especially what's going on in this now. And it's fabulous. I try to catch it when I can. I'm not there every week, but a lot of weeks I am, and it's very fun.
Yes, well, good. Everyone is invited. We're thankful. We are making it more of a prayerful, kind of a thankful expression of gratitude for getting this far and for Toki herself. I mean, I like to try to bring the conversation back to her because she is so amazing, so incredible to be, I think, so patient and so resilient and so strong and courageous. And so we try to focus on her and just being thankful for everybody that is helping.
It's so cool. So Heidi, do you want to ask a couple of questions that people have been asking?
Yeah, let's get back. We've got to scroll back here. Well, I'd like to know, as I'm looking for some other questions that are in the chat room here, that, what specifically the groups that are trying to get her back. Like you mentioned that there were some developments that started in August. I mean, what are some of the just overview of steps? Because we've had some people join us partway through the show as well. Just some of the steps, if you could overview that recently that have made some changes towards this possibly happening.
Okay, well, in August, two things happened. One was that a USDA inspection report was released. It actually happened way back last May, but it was released, and it was scathing. It was a terrible report of bad practices, of basically no protocols, of who knows who is in charge, or it just seems that the water and the food quality and the behavior and the overall supervision and oversight were just completely lacking. So it was a damning report. But about the same time, the Dolphin Company announced that they intended to buy this aquarium. It wasn't done yet, but it was on track for them to purchase the whole park, which meant talking to new people. And we didn't know what their attitude would be, but it would be different and much better than a holding company based in Sweden that we were dealing with before that. So that sort of gradually changed the attitude and of the park and the people and the sort of the prospects, the hopes that she would finally get out of there. And then more recently, a group has formed called the Friends of Lolita that is an entity that is behind the scenes at this point, more or less, except that they did come out in a press conference and talk to people. That was March 26th, and announced that the first step would be taking place very soon, and that would be an examination, which everyone agrees needs to be done first to just assess her health. Basically, I think she'll get a clean bill of health, but that has to be done first, and then the next steps. But nobody wants to talk about what they are exactly, because we need to have that first step taken care of first to make sure that she is healthy and fit for travel. All indications are, and it's really only visual and indirect for me. I'm 3,000 miles away, but the mayor, Cava, and Commissioner Regalado have gone in and were, allowed to have up close and personal quality time with her. And I think they came away a bit changed. Toki does her magic. She looks you in the eye, and it's been said by people that she looks into your soul. And I think they came away feeling like they knew her and that she knew them better than they could have imagined. And they also said that she looks fine. She looks healthy. She's in good spirits. And all the videos, looked like she's just swimming around normal, and she's very responsive, and she's got her appetite, and she's kept all her teeth all these years. She's looking good, and I think she is ready to come back. Of course, that has to be assessed by the veterinarians, but I think that the next step will follow that one when it's done, and that'll be hopefully very soon.
And this is such good news because, Howard, last time you were on our show, and I think it must have been a year ago, last fall, you told us about someone who had went down there to make the trip to the aquarium to see Toki, and that she was kind of she was lethargic, and she just wasn't herself. So this is good news, right? I mean,
yes, it
you were
is.
very concerned on that show, and my heart just sank when you talked about that.
Well, I was. That was a volunteer, Rachel Anderson, who went there and spent 3 days, went to 2 shows a day, so 6 shows, and she went in early and stayed late every day and tried to have her own quality time. But of course, it's very loud, and the trainers and employees are running around and shooting everybody. So it's hard to have that. But she did have some just, person to person, really, you have to see it that way, with Toki. And I got the feeling that Toki wanted to interact and wanted to play and wanted to build that relationship and that trust. And so that told me that she's still got that spark. She still wants to relate and trust, and she's not withdrawn. She's not doing any of the sort of the, stereotypy, catatonic, like repetitive behaviors or self-destructive banging her head or anything that a lot of whales do. A lot of orcas in captivity get to that state where they lose it. And she doesn't. She still has her integrity, her identity, her herself. She's intact, and I think that Rachel showed that, but she had she saw a lot of downsides, and I think she saw more than there really was in some sense. She thought the dorsal had flopped over, and I really didn't see that it was any different. She thought that she was sunburned, and that, can be just sort of, normal skin tones. So I think Rachel was, she's so concerned because she cares so much about Toki. Mm-hmm. But I really didn't see that there were really any really bad signs, even back then. And that was November of 2020. Mm-hmm. So she's still now, her color, her white and black contrast, her skin look, and, she looks good, and she's acting good, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is really good news. That is super news. Wow. It chokes me up. So, okay, we do have a question for Raynell, and Howard, you can chime in as well. But this listener has asked this question. What has, I don't know how to pronounce this name, so Preetam Singh committed to help fund? Specifically, will he help fund phase 2 of the current fundraiser, or can you guys even divulge that information? I don't know.
What I can say is Preetam Singh is a man of many resources, and he is committed to Skelly Chukchanut and the work that he's done quite quickly by putting together a 5-person nonprofit board, and has been able to help facilitate this partnership between the mayor of Miami-Dade and the Dolphin Company is the best thing that could happen for Skelly Chukchanut. So he's committed, to facilitating this for us, and has the financial resources and the political connections and the spiritual desire to take a leadership role in.
And that's awesome.
It is awesome. His spirit as an individual is just sparkly.
That's so cool.
He is just so amazing, and I'm just so grateful that he's now a friend of Skelly Chukchanut.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So Karen in our chat room is asking, how long does this medical assessment take? Howard or Raynell, either one?
Well, what I can say, and I'm sure Howie has, some historical experience, but I do know it can take quite some time if they're going to look at, past health and behavioral records, and then do current labs, and other examinations. I'm not saying it was, we don't have a time that's been put on it other than what's necessary to ensure that it is comprehensive and complete.
Well, yeah, I would only add that with Keiko, they tested for every pathogen that they knew, and this was a team of 6 veterinarians and pathologists, and so they tested for everything, and there were 48 pathogens that they tested for. So that would take some time for every one of them to go to the labs and get the thorough analysis. So I don't have a time frame, but I expect it would take a few weeks probably to get full results.
Well, and that's testing for a lot of things. And I think Keiko had a clean bill of health, didn't he, Howard? And I mean, he was an even smaller tank in Mexico.
Oh yeah. Oh, and he was very sickly. Oh, he was close to the end. They rescued him just in time, and got him into a much larger tank that was filled with natural seawater.
Yeah.
It was ionized rather than chlorinated. So it was good, healthy, natural water that he was in, and room to move around, and he came right back to life. I mean, he improved greatly. The lesions on his body, the morbillivirus, it disappeared, and he got so much better right away, even in that tank. And then when he went to Iceland, his spirits kicked up another notch, and he explored all over the place, and he disappeared from the trainers. They tried to call him back, and he was more interested in his surroundings.
Yeah. And his story, he was a very successful, it was a success for him. But with him, we didn't know who his family was, right, Howard? So
right, yeah. So he never was able to rejoin or be adopted by any wild whales because orcas depend on their families, their immediate families, their mothers, their matriline, their brothers and sisters, and they're just not going to adopt a male that they don't know, or any whale from another place that they don't know. So he couldn't integrate with them and join and forage and just become one of them until he met his immediate family. And there are hundreds of whales all around Iceland, and he only met a few on the south end, and he didn't happen to meet up with his mother, so he never socially integrated.
But here's what I say: what a fabulous last couple of years of his life that he had, right? And he ended up in Norway, right, and Taknes Bay, and he unfortunately passed away. But
well, physically, he came right back. I mean, he was in really good shape, and he swam across the North Atlantic, and he fed himself. He caught his own food on the way, and showed up in good shape. And tired, but he hadn't lost weight, and he looked good. So he was fully competent to be a wild whale. He just didn't have that social connection. And orcas are absolutely social. They need their families. They need to be part of, a pod and a culture and a family. And he never was able to get that again.
But he was a success. So, what I'm saying is, and he was very young when they took him, I think, like way younger than Tokitae was.
I believe so. Yes.
So Toki had many more years of being with her family to learn how to survive and hunt and, remember them by.
That's right.
So, wow, the chances for her. And, I just remember Springer from several years ago. They found her sickly and almost dying and down by Seattle, correct? And they brought her back up to the north. And she's great. Mm-hmm. She's great now. She's got babies and, the whole
Absolutely.
So
I think she has 3 now.
Yeah.
She was expecting, I think, her 3rd, last I heard. So
awesome. So Jerry in the chat room is asking, would a sea pen be set up for her in somewhere where L-Pod could communicate with her, or J-Pod? I mean, it's JK and L-Pods they all have the same calls, do they? I think they do, don't they?
Right.
No, each pod has their own family song, much like we do here at Lac-Timmich, here in the Salish Sea. Each family has their own specific song, and so it's the same with Quetzalmachan. The L-Pod song is a little different than the J-Pod and the K-Pod and so on and so forth. But they're extended relations, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
From the same community. And so we believe that she still remembers and would remember her family song, her L-Pod song.
Right.
So would the sea pen be somewhere where, their sound travels for miles underneath the waves.
About 10 miles underwater.
So, even, and I'm not going to say it on air, but I do know where they're looking at for the sea pen, which is typically most of the time out of the way of that bunch of whales. But they do go over there occasionally, but they're thinking that they can maybe hear them anyway. Is that what you're thinking?
Well, what I can share is the Sacred Lands Conservancy on sacredsea.org. We have a animated diagram of what a sea pen could look like for her, what the dimensions would be, the acoustics would be for her. So if you wanted to learn a little more about what her home, her Lummi home would look like, you can check it out on our website.
Awesome. We will do that. And that's on sacredsea.org, I guess.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Awesome. So let's go there. So, wow. I don't even know what question to ask, Heidi. There's so much going on in the chat room. I'm trying to keep up.
Well,
I'm having a hard time.
There was a question that I'll direct to the website. So in case people aren't in the chat room, the question was, how would they move her and how long would it take? And Annette posted a website, sacredsea.org, and there's a ton of information because we're not going to be able to get to all these questions tonight.
Unfortunately.
So if people want to go to that website and check it out, there's a lot of good information there that's going to talk about all of the things that we're talking about here.
Yes.
Because we just won't have the time to ask all these questions and get these wonderful answers tonight. But we might have to have a part 2 on this show.
I think so. Maybe in a month or two when there's a little more information out there, we can have another show and have you guys back and kind of come back to where we left off. It's just going by way too fast. But so, Howard, how is LPOD, JK and LPOD doing right now? I know there's new babies. There's a new baby this year with JPOD, and there are several babies.
Right. Well, we haven't actually gotten a good look at LPOD since January 20th. They have been out to sea. There was a sort of an indirect report a few days ago from the west side of Vancouver Island. So, in other words, basically the shores of the Pacific. They just have not been in the inland waters at all since January, and that was a brief visit. So we really don't have any up-to-date information. I hope and I trust that they are finding enough to eat out there. Mm-hmm. The salmon that are, migrating back to their home rivers, mainly up the Columbia River. I think they're doing well, but it's pretty much a matter of faith. There were no indications in January that there were any major problems that I recall. So, I think they're doing fine, but they're just out of sight.
Yeah, which is kind of normal, Howard, isn't it, for this time of year?
Well, it's kind of the new normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, back in the 90s, in April and May, JPOD and then KPOD and then LPOD would come in and do a regular kind of a circuit, a pattern around the San Juan Islands. They used to, back in the early 80s, they would almost every day in the summer go into Puget Sound and back out.
Wow.
But, when the salmon disappeared from down there, they quit that part, and now they don't come even in around San Juans that much.
Yeah,
so,
unfortunately. Yeah. Oh. We have a question, and the question is, who exactly is officially part of Friends of Lolita?
It's a 5-person board, and it's led by Pritam Singh, Dr. Roger Payne, Dr. Diana Reese, Charles Vinnick, and myself, Skila Hala.
Good. Awesome. And you
Amazing.
had talked about that board at the beginning of the show, I believe. So,
Yes.
Perfect.
But they can follow the current work and some of our tribal ceremonies on sacredsea.org. We just had a water ceremony for Skelly Chaktanat. So I think the listeners, if they were to check the website out, they would find a whole host of ceremony videos, press releases, letters. They'll be able to sign up and subscribe and track our work.
Good. So my question for you two is, we have about 3 minutes left. What can everyone do to help in this effort to bring Toketee back home?
Well, I would say learn and pray.
Yeah.
Learn all you can about Toki and about the whole situation, the history and where we are now, and keep up to date. There are a lot of Facebook pages and websites that you can find good information, and keep your thoughts and prayers and your intentions good, and have some faith in her to know what to do, and I think she has been for 52 years almost. Yes. She has kept herself in good shape, and that is against all odds. I mean, orcas are very robust. They're very strong from birth and very well developed. They're so adaptable and they heal so fast and they're just, very, very highly evolved, but a lot of them just don't make it in captivity. They succumb one way or another. They lose it, but she has not. She has maintained her strength and her spirit and her courage, and she's just so gracious too. I mean, because she reaches out almost. I mean, she recognizes a trusting person and goes to them. I mean, so I think we can have a lot of faith in her and in everyone and in forces beyond.
Yes, I love that.
I would just like to add that the Lakhtamish people were very prayerful. We're very connected to our ancestors in carrying out the work, and would just ask that those that are so moved to pray regularly for her to have hope and to have belief and to focus on being healthy and strong, that she can let go and take care of herself. We're holding her up. We've got her. She can use that energy to heal and get stronger and stronger. Haishka Siam. Thank you, friend.
Haishka Renell.
Thank you guys so much. And we will have you back on. If you'll come back on, we'll schedule something in the next month or two. I will get a hold of you. But thank you so much for coming on. And all of you listening, thank you for taking time out to listen to the story of Tokitae, and everyone send your prayers. Thank you to the troops listening. I understand there are many of you. Thank you for your service, and please be safe.
Everybody in the chat room, thank you so much. I'm sorry we didn't get to all your questions tonight, but lots of good conversations. Thank you so much for being here. And yes, like Steph said, everyone out there listening, wherever you are, thank you so much for tuning into our show. We're going to have to do a part 2 in a month or so because there's been so many questions and so many awesome ideas and thoughts, and we'd love to revisit. And thank you, Para X, for hosting our show once again this week. We love being here. And Sarge, our most amazing producer, you got to work out tonight with all the tech stuff. Thank you so much for getting us on the air, and we'll look forward to being back next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Hi, Scott.